Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Border Town Strange. I'm Pam. This is my co-host, Jess. And tonight we have Enzo and Mark guest co-hosting with us. So yay for that. And we have a very special guest we're super excited about. We have Jim Gray from Geneseo, Kansas. He's known as the Cosmic Cowboy. Pretty cool dude. So we'll have a good time talking to him. Before we get started, though, Jess, do you have any housekeeping?
Yep, just a little bit. Like always, we want to thank our new followers and subscribers so much. We appreciate you. If you're hanging out on Facebook right now, just take a second to like, share, and head on over to our page and follow us if you haven't already. We would love for you to join the family. If you're hanging out on YouTube tonight, go ahead and give us a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit that bell if you haven't yet so you know when we're bringing you new content. Give you a little heads up before we're on live like we are right now. Also, remember to check out our back catalog while you're on YouTube and also wherever you listen to your podcast. Nothing is behind a paywall, so you can go back as far as you want and listen to all the ridiculousness, especially those first few shows, which we always apologize for. We also have the Bordertown Paracon coming up here on August 8th in Caney, Kansas. It's going to be an all-day event. The public is invited in for free, and you get to watch a full day of networking between every kind of paranormal group you can think of: ghost hunters and Bigfoot hunters, cryptid hunters, ufologists, folklorists, authors, you name it, we got them. Watch live panels and presentations, shop the vendors, get some concessions, get some fantastic, authentic Mexican food out from our food truck, and enjoy an entire day of festivities. If you're not going to be in the Caney, Kansas area on that day, you can watch it all live right here on our Bordertown Strange page. Every time a new presentation or a panel comes up, you can watch it live right here. Wow, that sounded all fancy, didn't it?
It did. You did a fantastic job there.
Yeah. Also, we always like to remind everyone, if you have a favorite topic or an idea for a show that you would love to see us do, we want to hear those. So just check out submissions at bordertownstrange.com. That's right where you can send all of that stuff. We want to hear all the weird wackiness that you want us to talk about. We will throw that right in there.
Absolutely.
And I think that's good. Do you want to do what the weird word?
Yeah, sure thing. So when I was looking, it was my turn this week, and when I was looking at different words to use, xenology came to mind. That's one that we haven't done before. And xenology is the interdisciplinary study of extraterrestrial life, alien civilizations, and the potential interactions between humans and non-human intelligences. It blends astronomy, biology, anthropology, psychology, linguistics, and even sociology to explore how alien life might evolve, communicate, organize itself, and behave. And at its core, xenology asks questions like, what forms could alien life realistically take? How might an extraterrestrial spirit, good Lord, how might an extraterrestrial species think, perceive reality, or communicate? What cultural systems or technologies might develop on worlds unlike Earth? How would humans respond socially, politically, emotionally to confirmed contact? So unlike ufology, which focuses on sightings and reports, xenology is more of a theoretical and scientific, imagining the biology, culture, and behavior of beings that we haven't met yet. It's the study of the other, the truly alien, not just whether they exist, but what they might actually be like. So it's basically the academic backbone of every "what if we're not alone" conversation. Yeah, thought that was
Very
a fun
cool.
one to bring. Yeah, to bring up. So I'll go ahead and pull that back down. And now for the star of the show, we're super excited to have Jim with us. Jim is the head of Kansas UFO Day every year in Geneseo, Kansas. It's the UFO capital of Kansas. And we've been lucky enough to have been asked to speak the last 3 years. And we had a fantabulous time at the end of June when we were out there. So thought it was a perfect time to bring Jim on, talk a little bit about it, and just hear what he has to say. So,
well,
Yeah.
thank you. I have to say that we in Geneseo, we're the lucky ones to have you guys come and be a part of the day because you add so much to it. And yeah, I think you're beginning to get a following. I get people that tell me how much they appreciate you, and so it's really great to have you here. One thing I wanted to do before we get going too far is that this is the hat that you saw me wear at UFO Day, Kansas UFO Day, and it's the one I pretty much in the summer. It's my summertime good hat. But I also have this is my summertime work hat.
Nice.
Nice.
So, and then the picture that you guys had me in more of a winter hat. That's this one.
Nice. Yeah.
Nice.
So you tell me what do you want me to wear?
I mean,
Many hats.
you're a handsome.
Oh yeah,
guy.
I have more.
Yeah.
I have more too, but that's a nice selection anyway.
You wear whichever one makes you feel the most comfortable right now. Do you have
Oh.
your podcasting hat? Because that's what we're doing right now.
That's what I got.
Oh, I have to have I've got a beret at home.
Oh, nice.
Oh, how fancy.
But we'll go with this one for a while. If you, I don't know, if I get warm, I'll change to a different one.
Perfect.
There you go.
That would be
Change it
great.
up.
And have wardrobe
All right,
changes in the middle.
so
Can you tell us a
yeah, I
little
don't
bit
know
about
how you want me to roll with this. You want me to go back to when we first started this thing and explain what it's all about? So
Yeah, that would be
Yes,
great.
please.
feel what we are here in what we call Dimension G, which is Geneseo. We're just about right in the middle of the state of Kansas, and the museum that we have here was organized by Dr. E.D. Jansen. He moved into Geneseo from a farm in 1951, and he moved into this building, this house that he lived in with his parents. Actually, he never married, and so when they passed away, he had been collecting photographs of the town and all kinds of artifacts. He began to fill up his house with you'd go in the house and just the walls were wallpapered with photographs of families and people, important people that he knew, stuff like that. But then the other part of his collection, well, and I should say, this guy, I don't know when he slept. He was for sure a genius. He was a minister. He was a chiropractor. He was a doctor of naprosy, which is a kind of an extended form of chiropractic in which they deal with your tendons and ligaments and that sort of thing. He was a ventriloquist. He was an auctioneer. He read Braille. He taught Braille. I mean, it goes on. But the one thing that was so cool and actually put him on the outs with a lot of people too was that he was interested in what he called the Space Brothers. That whole culture at that time, they referred to the people from Venus and Mars and Saturn and long far away planets you'd never heard of were the space people, the Space Brothers. And so he had this collection along. He'd befriended a fellow from Nickerson, Kansas, who was also appears to have been a genius in his own right. He was a mechanical arts teacher, and he produced all of these sketches, schematics, drawings of spacecraft. And then he asked Doc, who had collected all these photographs, well, he had been doing slideshows all over about early Geneseo, and this guy wanted to do slideshows on outer space and alien craft and all that stuff. So he asked Doc to help him turn his original artwork into slides. And I guess that's how we ended up with the artwork in the museum. And there's just absolutely nothing like it in the country. When you walk into the UFO gallery. It's like um, walking into a long lost culture of the 1950s and 60s, and the relationship that men had with alien life in those times. So that's kind of what we got. Well, want me to go on? Got anything you want to add?
Well, it definitely is like walking into a time capsule when you walk in.
I lost my volume somehow.
UFO pop culture. It is astounding as far as I'm concerned that there is so much of that in just one location.
Can you hear us?
Boy, I don't know what happened, but I've lost the volume.
Oh no.
Oh boy, you can't hear us at all?
I can barely hear someone talking there, but
okay.
Fortunately,
I'll
it
just
wasn't
go
anyone
on for
important.
now. So, we began to redesign the museum, bring it up to date, and in the process of doing that, realized that we needed to promote the UFO collection because it hadn't been. It was like Geneseo's little secret that people didn't like to talk about. They thought Doc was a little bit crazy. So we brought it forward and came up with, it just happened when we were thinking about it that July 2nd of 2022 was World UFO Day. So that's when we did it. Then from then on, it was a nice little success. And from then on, we wanted to keep it on Saturday, but World UFO Day stays on July 2nd, so it travels through the week. So we just turned it into Kansas UFO Day, and we keep it on a Saturday now. We've evolved into the last Saturday in June, which will be June 26th of 2027.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, you can definitely count on us.
We will always come help you out anytime you want us.
Yeah. It's a fun day. If you at home listening have not ever been, you need to get out there. It is a fabulous day full of vendors and speakers and music and stuff for the kids. It's just a fun day. There's a evening parade and lots of good food. It's a great time.
And everybody is super friendly. It just, everybody's happy. Everybody's enjoying themselves. It really, that in itself is kind of a throwback into time. Because you go to stuff today and everybody's in their own little world. Everybody wants to stop and talk. Everybody is friendly. You know, there was people who knew my name that, you know I've seen your face, but you know, it's
the same thing, except I know that shirt. It's
yeah.
Yeah. I do love all the outfits. Everyone shows up with alien purses and outfits. The dogs are dressed up. And this year was, I think, the year for aluminum foil hats.
Yes.
I did get my volume back. It was wow. I tell you, I felt like it wasn't any bigger than it was last year, but it seemed to be more vibrant.
It did, yeah. We're having a hard time hearing you right now, Jim, but you were saying that it was a lot more vibrant. It seemed like there weren't a lot more people, but it was a lot more vibrant. I would agree with that. We were just blown away by the amount of people that came to our booth and wanted to talk. And, you know, actually, we were just floored by the number that said that they had followed us, you know, since we'd been coming and different things. And it was a real honor, you know, to hear that. It was very cool.
we actually ran out of flyers for our convention that we do. It was it was amazing the amount of people that just stopped by. Mark actually pointed out when we were breaking everything down there, you could sort of see, because we're out in a little grassy area there beside the museum, and you could see where all the other booths were set up, and there was a weird track line in the grass from where people would stray off of the center line and go right to our booth to yak at us.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah, well, that's what we were there for. We're there to talk to everybody. I mean, we're not selling anything. We're not really doing anything but hanging out and having a good time. And there was a lot of people out there doing just the same thing. And the vibe is just amazing.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, you're
a little bit. We can hear
you're
you
a little rough.
Hey, I don't know what's going on with this. But anyway,
There you
you
go.
can
You get
get some really interesting conversation going. I guess it's one of those things that people, they maybe not right away, but once they've been here for a little bit, they let their defenses down, and for many, I was the same way. When you have an experience, you're not really willing to talk to anyone about it. In fact, I just almost forgot about it until I started working with the museum project.
I think, just the fact that you have this entire just fabulous collection of UFO paraphernalia and just memorabilia from that time period, and that it was just kind of hidden, for a while. Nobody really knew about it except for the people that were there in Geneseo. And the fact that you were able to take it and breathe life into your community with it, to have this really cool festival and make people realize that, what Doc Jansen, what he did, he really preserved some cool stuff,
Yeah, not just the UFO stuff, but he did manage to preserve a lot. It's like a snapshot of 1950s and 60s culture, and it's fantastic.
And you notice in some of the original stuff that we walked off or we in different display locations, that along with the photograph, which we turn these slides back in the photographs, there are always notes with me, and those notes are they're just important to be able to understand what the photograph is about. And he made that important thing to document. There's no way that we made him what he did. It's just amazing.
Hey,
Jim, we're having a really hard time hearing you. So what I'm wondering is if you may want to go out and come back in, and maybe we can get it to clear up a little bit. Do you want to try that? Okay, because you kind of sound like you're underwater.
Mm-hmm.
So if you look down below, you should see like a little arrow that'll take you out of the studio.
Talking before, it was okay, right?
Yeah, it was fine when we first started.
Yeah, when we first started, it sounded good.
Okay, so I'll go out and then log back in.
Okay, yeah, try that.
Thank you, sir.
Go ahead. We have plenty of time.
Oh, yeah. Oh. Lost Enzo.
That's all right. We'll get everybody wrinkled up. While Jim's doing that, we'll keep talking a little bit about Kansas UFO Day. It's a fantastic little festival, and like Jim was saying, people show up a little bit weirded out when they first get there if they've never been there before, but it only takes a short while before they're relaxed and actually just enjoying the day when you realize, I don't know if maybe it has a little bit of a stigma behind it because it's a UFO festival. But I think once everyone gets in there and realizes, man, everyone's here just to have fun and enjoy a day. Everything just settles right down in, and it does feel very family friendly. The kids are running around having a great time, and it's just a fun day, and it goes from like it starts out at 10 in the morning, and it doesn't end until way after the sun sets. I think this year that they had a live band playing. They had like a downtown street dance going on after the parade while dinner was being served. So much fun, and it's
There's
right
something we didn't
outside a
even-
hutch.
And we didn't even mention that they have a giant parade at the end of the day that the whole town takes place in. And even just driving into where they have the Kansas UFO Day there at the museum in the town, you'll see like full figure, like green aliens hanging out by this,
Yes.
on the edge of the
by
road,
the
waving,
highway,
and
yeah.
balloons and stuff. It's a lot of fun. The whole area really gets into it, and it's very fun.
It's awesome. Okay,
Can you hear
Jim
us,
is
Jim?
back. Can you hear us?
You're fine. Can you hear me?
A little better.
A
Little
bit
better.
Little bit.
Yeah.
Try to speak up, I guess.
Yeah.
Is that moving a little closer to the mic, maybe? I don't
That
know.
might help. Yeah.
might
That might
help,
help.
We'll do that.
Hopefully it will.
Oh,
Yeah. It might also be his internet connection. That's why it sounds a little
could be.
watery.
Yeah, it could be.
That's okay.
We were
Okay.
talking a little bit about the day itself and how fantastic it was, and then about the collection, and the fact that Doc Jansen, some of the stuff he collected was just really incredible. There's a lot of Buck Nelson information there. Can you
Yes.
tell us a little bit about that kind of stuff that's in the museum?
oh, sure. I believe it was he and John Dean began to make contacts outside themselves, and one of their first contacts was Buck Nelson, who was beginning to make a name for himself out of Mountain View, Missouri, and Buck lived in a little place. He called it a ranch, a little place north of Mountain View, kind of an isolated area, and he claimed that the Space Brothers would land with their flying saucer, and they liked his spring water, and so they would ask him about collecting spring water from his place. Oh, there's a lot more to the story. I guess when he first met them, they zapped him with some sort of a ray, knocked him to the ground, and he'd been suffering from I don't know, myalgia or some sort of arthritis, that sort of thing. He'd been suffering really badly, but when he got up, he felt no pain. And that was verified by people that knew him in town, that all of a sudden Buck was acting like a young man again and moving around easily without any problems. So anyway, so he had that experience with them at first, and they collected water and they left. Well, they came back, and he had a relationship developing with them. And when he maybe the third time that they came to visit, they asked him if he wanted to go on a trip, and of course he did. And he took his little dog along with him, and they jumped in the spacecraft, and supposedly they took a trip to Mars and Venus and the moon. And he talked about different cultures that he experienced on those planet surfaces, and he talked about flying in the flying saucer, and he bragged about the fact that, those were the days when the United States government was sending animals up into space, and they sent I don't recall the name of the dog. They sent a dog, and of course it lost its life in the process. And he said, I took my dog along, and he lived just fine, He was proud of that. But so he started putting on spacecraft conventions, started in 1958. I don't think Doc made the first one, but I know that he was there in 59 and in 60. And we have a bottle of water in the museum that he collected from the spring in either 59 or 60 when he collected this water. And that water may have lost some volume. I don't know how full it was to begin with, but it is just crystal clear. Absolutely. No
You've
sediment.
seen it. It's crystal clear. Yeah.
It's really cool. I think actually, Enzo, is that what you have pulled up over there? Is that the water?
He's
Enzo?
got Sure.
Can you see that? Sure.
I can see it down below. You want me to put it on the stage?
Sure.
Yeah, of course, that's Buck Nelson that you're looking at there.
Yep.
Switch around here. There we go. There it is.
Yes, that's the bottle. And
See how clear that is?
This is just one of the displays that you have inside the museum, which there's many. I have quite a few different pictures in here.
Yeah.
I know there's Buck Nelson himself.
yeah, that
Yep.
what me there is zero sediment. You can't get that out of your tap water.
No. Especially to have it set in a bottle for how many years now,
1959. Yeah,
I
right in
would
that.
think it would leave some kind of marks in it, but nothing.
Yeah. No,
It's
pretty
fascinating.
amazing. So
Now, see, I know he was on the up and up because he and I wear the same kind of overalls. It's just automatic,
my friend Dave Zerfus, we call him Zerf. We went to Mountain View a couple of years. They had a little gathering of people that remembered Buck Nelson, and so they sat around on an afternoon telling stories. And when we walked in, of course, they wondered what two cowboys were doing walking in the door unannounced. Could you hold that for a second, right there? Stay right there for a sec.
Yeah.
Come on. Well, let me tell you. Okay, so while we were there, we look over in the corner. There's this guy standing there, and he looks just like Buck Nelson. He's wearing the coveralls. He's got the same haircut, and has that facial look to him. Well, he was a kid when Buck was putting on his spacecraft conventions, and his mother used to have a food stand out there with fried chicken and hamburgers and stuff. And he'd just have his way around the grounds while they were putting on the spacecraft convention. So he had lots of stories to tell too. It was fun. But I wanted you to show that picture. What we think of as, it took me years to realize what I was looking at here. You hear, and I know you remember the 1897
UFO flap.
UFO flap across, Texas and Oklahoma and Kansas on up to Chicago. Started out in California, I think.
Airships.
Yes.
Airships. Described them, often they describe them as cigar shaped. Well, this is a mothership, and it never lands. It just hovers. And this is, I think, what they were seeing was this mothership hovering over this, taking stock of the surface of the planet Earth, because it actually moved kind of in a methodical way every night in a different location across the country. And you see those shafts that are drawn into the inside of the mothership. It was,
Yeah.
you think of an aircraft carrier, that's kind of what it was. So what we think of as flying saucers are the secondary ships that land, come into the mothership and then are stored like in a hangar, and then when they're going to use them again, they go out and they exit out the bottom of the ship.
And that fits with a lot of observations in UFO lore of these giant cigar-shaped craft that are typically, measured in the number of football fields long that they are. It's usually how people describe them. And they're really, really big. And it even shows in your picture here that over on the left side, you can sort of see little saucer shapes on the left, where they would basically come in through this airlock at the top and kind of have this hangar parking area that they would put the saucers in.
Yes, and I don't know if you got a picture of the scout ship, which is what those little saucers are. They call them scout ships. But it's so interesting. Let's see. It's over on the west wall. I don't know whether you've got that or not. But
Is that the one that has the guy in it?
Has what?
It has a like a guy sitting in it.
Well, you can see. Go back there. This is a different one, but next to that. Okay, that. Let's see. Go back another one. If I can. Nope, that's not it. Where it's okay. See that's the mothership with the shell on it of the mothership, and it's got these lights. So I'm going to tell a little bit different story first. I had a guy come in just a few days ago. Let's see, it was on Saturday, this last Saturday, from out in what I call Western Kansas, beginnings of Western Kansas, south of Pawnee Rock. Lived on a farm out there near the Arkansas River, and he couldn't. His eyes just popped when he saw that. He says, "Oh, it all makes sense now. I've seen that." But what he saw, those were lights. He didn't see the form of the ship, but he could see the lights along the side of the ship, and one light would go out towards the back, and another light would come in towards the front, and as it was moving across the night sky. And he claims he's got video of it, but he didn't bring that with him. So that other ship to the right is a type of flying saucer. The one that I really wanted you to see shows, how there's a lot of discussion about exotic propulsion and using magnetics and electromagnetics in association with gravity. And these people in the 1950s knew how these flying saucers were propelled, how they well, it doesn't show up as well in this one, but in the other scout ship, it shows a magnetic pole running right down the center of the ship, and that was what it derived its ability to move in the ways that it did. And Buck Nelson said that's what they told him. They told him it was powered by a magnetic force. He said, I only had an 8th grade education, and so I couldn't really understand the details of what they were talking about. They basically just told me what I could understand, but he said it was propelled by magnetism, was his way of looking at it.
That's neat.
Then you see that odd ship on the right. That was actually seen by John Dean hovering over Nickerson, Kansas, and it is a special unit that's used to study the polarity of the planet. And that was one of the things that they were so concerned about with what we were doing with atomic testing, was that we were throwing the polarity of the planet, and not only the planet but the entire galaxy out of position, and threatened the existence of the planet. And it wasn't that long after that they did away with the atomic testing. Maybe another 15, 20 years, but they finally, especially the atmospheric testing was done away with early on, and these guys claimed that it was really messing with our polarity. So
that's definitely the lore from a lot of contactees over the years, especially in the 50s and 60s, that they were very adamant that blowing up nukes is a very bad thing. It's not just, sure, it's, ugly for war and things like that here on Earth, but it felt like the intention that they were saying is like, this affects others as well, outside of just your surface of your planet. This is affecting like other dimensions, other entities that you can't even perceive of. It's affecting them as well. So you need to stop. that was usually the message.
Well, and so 1951 was the year that Doc moved into this house with his parents, and that was the theme of the movie The Day the Earth Stood Still, was that not just atomic warfare, but just the culture on the planet. We need to change our ways or we're going to destroy ourselves. And that was a theme. And brought to us by I call him an astronaut from another planet that was then, he flew in on a flying saucer, and then when he walked out to present his feelings to the Earthlings, this took place in Washington, D.C., he was protected by this giant robot, Gort, and we just thought the theme was so close to everything that Doc Jansen was talking about, that we had a life-size 8-foot-tall Gort placed in the on the grounds at the museum. And so, especially on UFO Day, it's really a centerpiece of that, and little steel cutout of Klaatu, the astronaut, where people could put their face inside the helmet area of Klaatu and be Klaatu for a while.
It's excellent. The artist did a phenomenal job on both of them.
Yeah, it is fantastic. And I watched people get up there and get their picture taken, for the last couple of years.
And it's all day long. It's just they take turns standing in front of it getting photos.
Oh, yeah.
Very cool.
And of course, this picture here, this is something that Jess did. They have a chalk drawing kind of, I guess it's a contest or something for the kids to do, where they can do little chalk drawings on the sidewalk that runs in front of the museum there. And Jess starts them off with one little starting point there for our resident artist, and right in front of our statues there, so they can have a starting point, and kids love it, because I didn't take a picture at the end of the day, but this is one that I took right after Jess got done doing the original there.
Well, yeah,
it's always fun.
The competition, Jess will win hands down every time.
Well, I'm not competing. I'm just getting the kids encouraged to get started.
Yeah. And everybody loves it. Yeah. So, what the mysterious thing that happened, just after we decided to do the first World UFO Day, was the secretary, Janet Splitter, was cleaning the curb and gutter, and uncovered, it had been covered up with silt for years, and uncovered a and etching in the concrete. And we were at a loss, or well, we still kind of are at a loss for what its meaning is, but it turns out it looks like a compass carved into the concrete. The interesting thing is that the vector point points toward the back of the house, which is now the museum. And as I began to look at it, maybe I should wait till you have you been able to find it.
I've actually got one here. Hold on, just.
Oh, you got it? Yeah, go ahead and.
I got the
jump in.
Geneseo City Museum site up, so we can just show you that.
I am going all over the place trying to find it.
Well, this thing,
Kind of.
it was really a mystery. It looked like I asked some other people, and well, it looked like a compass to them, and this had this vector point again pointing towards the back of the museum. And I don't know how well you can see it there on the down below, but
Yeah, I was trying to zoom it. It won't zoom.
Well, once you turn and look at it, I figured, okay, if this is a compass, we need to look at it with
There you go.
with the north, pointing away from us, and so I stepped up on the curb and turned around and looked at it, and realized that what I was looking at, the vector point was a little flying saucer, and
You see it on the picture that's on the sign there a little bit right there, and that's right over here.
Yes. Well, and the strangest thing about it is that this curb was put in 1947. Doc hadn't even moved, and his family hadn't moved into the house until 1951, so he had no influence on that compass. But it's got a little flying saucer pointing to the southwest. We figured out that if you went beyond Geneseo, that it connected with Roswell, New Mexico, exactly 500 miles. And
I have a zoomed in version shared, Pam, if you want to jump to that. But I tested this out myself because this was actually when you the first year you revealed this a couple of years ago.
yes,
Was the first time I had actually been there.
you
And
go.
I was like, okay, come on, is this real? And I put my phone down next to it. I annotated the actual, GPS coordinates, and I went home to Google Maps, and I drew a line from that exact spot straight southwest. And it does not, I mean, certainly, it gets near other, smaller towns between here and there, but the only town that it directly goes right into the middle of is Roswell, New Mexico.
Yes, nothing else intersects that line. Maybe a farmhouse or so along the way, but no towns intersect that line. And that curb, we had a hard time figuring out when it was put in until we found a family member who remembered that their father had been working on building the curbs as a project. He just graduated out of high school and helped put in the curb in Geneseo. And that was 1947, the same year as the crash in Roswell.
Which is incredible because most people outside of Roswell, New Mexico, never learned about Roswell until like into the deep 70s and early 80s, when a lot of people started doing research and people finally started talking, because there were a lot of people that lived that were in Roswell in 1947. They were all threatened and told, you didn't see anything, none of this happened, pretend this didn't happen, because if you don't, they're never going to find your bones out in the desert, kind of a thing.
Well, this is like a little signal that says it happened. And So we called it the Roswell Compass. And still a mystery who put it in, why, for sure why. But so Gort kind of stands guard over the Roswell Compass. So we love
Right.
that.
That's so
Just
cool.
keeping an eye out.
Yeah. And
Yeah, it is pretty cool.
yeah, and it's out there for anyone to come look at 24 hours a day. So is Gort, year round. They're out there and if anyone has a strong opinion about what it really means, we'd love to hear it. We think we kind of have it at least partially narrowed down. So.
I was certainly a little skeptical when I first saw it. I was like, oh, come on, really? And I did the measurements myself. It's like, holy crap, this really does point.
It's been there a
towards
long time.
Roswell,
There's no
Mexico.
faking it.
And that's coming a long way, because I think that you're a bit of the resident skeptic anyway, aren't you? It's got some proof.
Ian's asking, could the marking have been made after Roswell became a thing?
We only know it was the year 1947 when the curb was put in, and it had been put in the fresh concrete. So it's the same year. That's all we know.
So cool. Yeah.
It would have been in the summer. And what month was Roswell? Was that in June or
Early July. So it's like,
That's a pretty interesting coincidence there.
Yeah. And there's nothing else that we know of, and like we've had a lot of people go out, clean their curbs just to try to, and their gutters just to try.
Nice.
There's just nothing else.
Yep. Sponsored a citywide cleanup.
it's not a bad thing. So
That's not a bad thing. All right. I mean, there is so much neat stuff in this museum. I mean, if you guys are in Central Kansas and have time, give them a call, find out if they're open, stop by and check this place out. Not only the UFO stuff, just the slice of Americana from the 50s and 60s. It's just pretty cool. You can see the winning spam recipe from a
Yeah.
contest in there.
Yeah,
That's what I was going to say. We always tell everybody to see if they can find the spam
that's
recipe.
right. Bonus points for the Reader's Digest spam winning recipe there. That's
Yeah, I want to try it. I'm willing to try it. Somebody needs to fix that for me.
Pretty fun.
pretty creative.
So one of my favorite parts about UFO Day is all the speakers that are coming in. There was a
Yes.
time when it was just a couple of us, little groups that spoke, but it got really big this year. I was super
it was
excited to
good.
see how many speakers you had in. Did you want to talk just a little bit about some of the speakers, besides us, of course, that you had in this year at the festival?
We had a really nice array of speakers on subjects maybe you wouldn't expect. We had a gal who's in her graduate studies at KU, who has worked for NASA. He was on the Mars rover team looking for life on Mars. And she's a geologist by trade, that's what but she's also worked at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory out in California. So, and I swear, talk about what do you want to call it? Exuberant passion. She had it. And she could just stand. She could stand there, and everything without notes. She could just stand there and tell you in pretty good detail all these little projects that NASA's got going on that she was associated with, at least. And I think if we'd let her, she could have gone for a couple of hours.
Yeah, she was really on a roll there, and she was really fun to listen to.
Yeah, very, very fun to listen to. So, and of course, every year Zerf is the guy who we have all of these audio recordings that Doc took while he was doing all of his documentation of things, and of various voices from that UFO community in those days, and voices of Buck Nelson, and he started out with the theme song from the Twilight Zone, and then he switched into voices. Well, and a very kind of eerie thing that he found in he took all these reel-to-reel recordings and put them onto DVDs for us. But it was actually super eerie that he found Dr. Jansen evidently trying to make contact. And he's going, this is Dr. Jansen, this is Dr. Jansen, this is Dr. Jansen. And it's just, yeah, it actually gives me chills even saying it. It was just a strange experience. There was a young fella, he still lives in Geneseo, that lived just a half a block away and would come over after school. And Doc would put these reel-to-reels on for him and listen on headphones, and he'd listen to all these various speakers. And Doc, as he was leaving one day, he says, you know, if you go out into a field on a dark night, they might come to you. And I think he probably had done that. But that was a kind of, I guess sometimes if you want something so bad, it doesn't happen. And he never did have his own particular experience. He just dealt with everyone else's experiences. Interesting thing about Buck Nelson, John Dean told how he went to visit Buck when he began to fail in health, and the old medical problems came back on him, and he was having a hard time getting around. He was kind of demoralized, depressed, and he told John, you know, they told me they'd come back and get me and take me to Venus. And he said, I don't think he's coming, which was kind of sad. Well, he ends up supposedly moving to California to live with his sister. But the thing is, there's no record. This guy was on Social Security. There's no record of his death. There's no record of a burial. We just wonder, maybe they did come take him back. We don't know.
You know, that is weird because, you know, the government is obsessive about record keeping. So,
right. You'd think it's got to be there. And of course, he was on disability because of his inability to function really anymore. And so if he was on all of these things, why isn't there a record of him passing? No record. So that's
a bit odd.
Yeah. So we had really a lot of fun. We always have a lot of fun with listening to the voices from back then and make them come alive again. Let me see. Who did we have? Dang, you guys are gonna have to. My memory's fogging on me. Who did we have?
We had Chris Martell.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Chris Martell, I've known him for years. Since, I don't know if he came to the first one, but I'm pretty sure his mother came to the first one. And then from then on, he came every year, and he kind of in the background, and kind of drifts through the audience, through the crowd. And dang, he worked security for Area 51 and for the Skinwalker Ranch before it was famous, you know, before they had the show on television. They just called it the ranch. And he looks like a classic security guy. He's kind of a buff sort of guy and wears all black and has a soft-spoken voice. he just wowed everybody with his stories of skinwalking. He didn't really talk about Area 51, and the thing he said was that I won't tell you about anything that happened to me when I was alone because I don't have anyone to back it up.
Yeah.
But things happened. But he had the one experience where with another security guard, they had been tracking these wolf tracks that would go on all four, and then suddenly he was on two, then he dropped in on just two, and then he dropped in on all four again, and then I think, if I remember how the story went, they kind of lost his track, and they left behind, and he was tracking them, which is what wolves will do. And, but this thing was as big as a deer. It wasn't small. It was small. So nothing really terrible happened from that experience. But then later on, he and this fellow saw the wolf again, and he described, there are portals into other planes of existence. That this was like a curtain in the atmosphere, and the wolf ran toward that curtain and then just disappeared into it.
That's fascinating.
That is pretty cool.
All went back. They were working somehow for the government and had to fill out the reports, and they're on file at the Pentagon.
You might try moving a little bit closer to your mic again. Kind of getting a little bit quiet on us.
The whole project has come such a long way. I'm super proud of you, Jim, for what you've done up there. Pam, if you could pull up the share I have down below where you see a picture of like Jim and a few others staggering around. This is a picture from 2022 when you had the official presentation revealing the Roswell compass for the first time to the public. And we can see, a couple dozen people standing around there checking it out. Versus this past year where you have a full day of events. This is the flyer you had for where you've got presentations going from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Actually, this is something that the Rice County Economic Development Group put out on I think this was on Facebook. That's actually really good. Mm-hmm. Where they I'll keep the music off because it's probably copyrighted, but it's a full-blown event where you've got people and food carts and stuff like that everywhere. I am so happy how big that this has grown. And I'm super proud of you, Jim, for putting all of this stuff together. Look at this. Look at all the people. Oh, there's that.
It was a super fun day.
Well, I appreciate your kind words. When we did that with the Roswell compass, that was also the day that our, I guess it was the assistant mayor, the mayor was not available, gave a proclamation that began our reputation as the UFO capital of Kansas.
Yes.
Yeah,
has anyone argued that? Like, no, we're the UFO capital. I was just wondering. It just seems like that's a pretty big claim, and I certainly think that you can pull that off just by Doc Jansen's stuff alone. But has anyone said, "Hey, wait a minute, we want to be the UFO capital of Kansas"?
No one said that, although back in 1972, there were sightings all over the state, but a tremendous amount of sightings in western Kansas. And I believe at that time they called Dighton, Kansas, the UFO capital of Kansas, but it never really took that up. Something they wanted to be known for. And I actually, 1972 was when I had my own particular experience, and I had no idea that all this other stuff was going on. You know, I'm 22 years old, and I really wasn't paying any attention to the news. I was trying to push that behind me because I didn't want to get involved in the whole Vietnam thing anyway. So I kind of closed my eyes to the news and didn't know these things that were going on. And it was just a year when they were everywhere.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah, pulling it up right there. We actually,
speaking of 1972, we kept the map up from last year. We did a big full presentation on the 1972 UFO flap in Kansas, and Chris Bartell himself posted this. Is like, oh my gosh, look at these guys. And of course, more importantly than any of this, the map and all that is the fabulous shirt that I'm wearing on the right. But
It is fabulous.
It is.
But we go on to describe in detail in that presentation last year of everything where Dighton, Larned, and Phillipsburg made this triangle, or every one of these little towns that you see a little highlighted mark on, all reported UFOs back in 1972. And they were all kind of the same thing, a larger than like basketball size orb of kind of a reddish or amber type color, zipping around over treetops, chasing cars, zooming down on people walking along the sidewalk. And so there was a lot. There was a lot going on back in 72 for 6-7 months, and then just gone.
yeah.
Yeah, and notice how I don't think you can really see it on the map, but this cluster is really close to where we're standing in this picture in Geneseo, Kansas.
Yeah. And this is still, we brought it back because it's one of our most popular things. People love taking a look at the map and like finding where they live, and they're like, oh, I grew up there.
Yep.
Yeah,
And
Very cool.
because there was a lot of people from the area who were going like, "Oh, that's my town," or "My grandma."
Oh yeah, people were super excited to be part of it, and we even would get a lot of stories of because last year, shortly after we did the presentation, two young gentlemen, probably in their late teens, came up to Mark and I at our booth where we were manning the booth, and they were like, "Wow, my grandmother told us a story of when she was a kid back in the 70s of this object that was like chasing their car down the road. And we always thought she was crazy, but it matches the time frame that everybody else was kind of seeing the same thing. So grandma wasn't really crazy. And they were very excited about that, to hear that, grandma wasn't telling just some crazy old story. A lot of people experienced the exact same thing.
Yeah, we had several people this year come up and tell us about a relative that my dad or my granddad saw something in this time period. And so, there's people who've told the stories out there, and it's a lot of people are really happy to find out that Grammy wasn't, cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
Sure. And actually what we saw a lot of this year as well, and even the last couple of years, Kansas UFO Day provides a place, because I've been to other like UFO conventions and stuff like that in different places, and having that out in the public like that, it provides a place for somebody to say, hey, I kind of saw something
It's
weird.
a safe space.
Yeah, it really is. I've been to Contact in the Desert like 3 different times, and that place, you can come up with the most banana story that you can think of, and people are going to take you seriously, because we understand that there is some pretty wacky, weird stuff that goes on in our skies or to you individually and things like that, and you're not going to get laughed at. That's the big thing is there's been a lot more acceptance the last few years, because we were getting congressional hearings that everyone can see on TV and things like that, to where there's something strange going on in our skies. This isn't something to point and laugh at anymore. Some serious people are seeing things, and it's having things like this, Kansas UFO Day, it provides a place for somebody to come and kind of unload this burden that they've carried with them their whole lives of seeing something strange, and they haven't been able to talk about it before.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we like that part of it, that people are comfortable with their own feelings that maybe they weren't so comfortable with before this happened. That's rewarding in its own way.
There's just so much.
That alone, you were doing a great service for a lot of people, Jim. You I don't know if you realize that or not, but just having that kind of outlet for a lot of people means a lot.
It really does. Yeah.
In fact, I would dare say that he's provided an outlet for us. There's a stigma behind a paranormal group delving into anything other than ghosts. Yeah. And so you've given us a sort of platform too, to show that our interests are fairly far reaching beyond just the basic paranormal, there's a ghostie in my attic type situation. It's allowed us to delve into UFO and alien and folklore and deep Kansas history. And he's also introduced us to some ancient type works in the area that we weren't even aware of. So he's been educating us also.
Absolutely.
He took us out on some fun little
lot.
trips. So yeah.
Yeah. There's some power. There's power everywhere. You just gotta know where to find it. But there's power on the prairie, and this seems to be one of those places where you can find it if you're willing to look for it. There's a lot of interesting native culture that's just under the surface, waiting to be free. Yeah. So we love it all. The line that you folks put out for Bordertown Paragon, it's all connected. And that, I believe that it's all connected. And
Somehow,
maybe someday we'll have someday we might have a better handle on connections. But I believe it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I can't say enough about what you're doing over there. You're saving such an important microcosm of culture. The collection is fantastic. Your event is fantastic, and just the spotlight you put on this is fantastic. I can't say it enough.
We're just fantastic.
You are, absolutely.
That's my favorite word today, apparently. Words are hard, and I did work 10 hours in a hot hanger, so.
But I love, though, that how much you've grown over the last couple of years. That's just amazing. Where you're getting guests from NASA. You're getting NASA geologists that have worked on, rovers on Mars that are willing to come in and chat with people. That's amazing.
Yeah. It is. Yeah. She contacted me. I didn't reach out to her. She contacted me. And in another case, now you're sparking my memory. I guess I had a little brain fog, but another one that had been here a couple of years ago contacted me and wanted to come speak was Dr. Luke Brake, and he is with the Sterling College here in Rice County, southern end of Rice County, with the he's a literature instructor, and he's part of what they have just set up in their library is the C.S. Lewis Center. So he came to talk about the works of C.S. Lewis that I wasn't aware of, and that's 3 books that he wrote on space travel, called sometimes called the Space Trilogy. And wow, we're learning things all the time. We're having a great
I had
time
not heard of
learning
those.
too.
I'm going to have to look them up now because I like C.S. Lewis.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And they dovetail in perfectly with what Doc Jansen and his friend, so yeah, it's pretty cool stuff.
Yeah.
That is about the same time period.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So wild stuff. You just don't know where this stuff's going to come from. I was looking, it's been maybe 2 years ago, looking through the guest book in the museum, and we wish more people would come in and at least sign the guest book. But because some people maybe don't sign it and go through, and it's nice to have a record of who's been there. And I noticed a couple of guys from Kansas City, and I decided, well, I'd look them up. Well, the one guy was a very well-known artist in the Kansas City area, and he's just wandering our grounds. He, just another person amongst the crowd. But it's kind of amazing the people that we draw to this little event in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of Kansas. So.
It's very
And
cool.
now that we're, we've always before been right on the same weekend as Roswell until we decided to move it a week earlier and have it the last Saturday in June. And so somehow I've got to start promoting the idea that if you're coming from the Northeast and the East headed towards Roswell, you can stop in and celebrate Kansas UFO Day. So
That's a fantastic idea.
You got a compass to help them find their way.
Yeah,
There you go. It's a way station.
I like it.
I
Fill
would
up on
think
snacks and drinks and enjoy the show, and then keep on going.
yeah.
keep on. It's a long
I
way
would think
from
with the
500 miles.
with the Cosmosphere right there in Hutchinson, I think maybe you should give them a call and see if they would like to kind of get in on this with you, because I think they would.
I didn't call them, but I did send an email to them once and trying to connect, because it would be nice for people, possibly, absolutely, and to be able to connect on a day trip and do the Cosmosphere and then come to the Genesis City Museum would be a nice little day activity. And I've talked to the folks at the Rice County Tourism, because Cosmosphere in Hutchinson, Kansas, and Hutchinson a number of years ago jumped on the bandwagon and with Superman and decided to call themselves Smallville.
The most famous alien out there from Kansas.
That's right.
Yeah, that's true.
But the thing is, in the Superman story, he's raised the little rocket ship that is sent off from Krypton to land on Earth, crash on Earth, basically. Crashes on the farm of the Kent farm.
Oh, yeah.
In Rice County, this is Rice County. And then Hutchinson is just next to us in Reno County. And so I've tried to, plant the seeds with Rice County tourism. Hey, find yourself a little farm just off the highway between Hutch and Rice County, somewhere along the way, and call it Superboy's home farm. Farm. Put an old Model T pickup sitting out there in front, and yeah, it'd be great. Have a statue of Superboy.
Yeah, absolutely.
But,
that would be really cool.
I love that idea. That is amazing. That
Is there a Kent family somewhere near Geneseo?
Well, I guess we could try to do it here closer to Geneseo, but like Smallville was supposed to be just a hop, skip, and a jump from the farm. So I figured maybe over closer to the county line, but liberals got Dorothy's house.
Yeah.
Rice County could have Superboy's house. So
Absolutely.
Why not? Absolutely. I mean, it's in the comic book. Rice County. You got to do it.
You gotta do it. Well,
So I have a question for you, Jim. What
Yes.
do you think? Do you think we're alone in the universe, or what are your personal beliefs when it comes to UFOs and aliens?
Well, like so many have said, how can you be so arrogant to think that you're the only ones when you look at the vastness of space? But at the same time, I'm not too sure where all of these incidents with spacecraft and space brothers come from. If they really come from another in our plane of existence, or if they actually are jumping through portals from another complete plane of existence. So, who knows? We don't really know, but we have to know that as many things as are being seen and have been seen for over 100 years, and probably clear back to the time of biblical times, Ezekiel saw the wheel and that sort of thing.
Hmm?
There's definitely got to be something. There's something to it. It cannot be a figment of everyone's imagination. And what I saw was a white beam of light that came out of the darkness of the sky, and then the light was so bright it blinded me. And yet, when I was able to recover, I think the reason I was recovering because it had been away from the car window, and I looked up and I watched this light not just shut off, but slowly recede into the sky, and then just disappear. Never saw the craft. It was and I couldn't see the craft, but I saw that light just retract up into the sky and disappear. That was no normal situation.
That is
and
exceptional.
I recently found out there's a newspaper account of all these 72 things in which some teenagers were chased home by a flying saucer.
Mm-hmm.
And I had almost the same experience in that it was my fiance that was with me, and I just drove home. And I turned around and was facing south on Main Street when this dust devil appeared about 3 blocks south, about where the railroad tracks cross through town. And it wasn't, the dust devil will just wander over the prairie. You've seen him go across dry fields and everything. this one was huge inside, and it came directly down Main Street, that entire 3 blocks, and on path, swirling right past us. I've never in my life, before or since, seen anything like that. Never.
It's incredible.
They were playing games with us, having fun. They were probably up there laughing.
You know they were.
Yeah.
So, what do you think about the future of UFO Day? Where do you see Kansas UFO Day heading into like the next decade?
Well, I guess that all depends on. I like to tell people, this is supposed to be the year of disclosure, and then they had the movie Day of Disclosure, which played off of that idea, but really didn't disclose all that much. It was a really good movie. The disclosure is right there in the UFO gallery at Geneseo. It tells the story. So, where's UFO Day going to go? I think as the sightings become more and more common, it seems like they are, like we're speeding up. It's just going to be a reason for people to come here to talk about it and to ask, what is this all about? And where are we going? We don't know. That's the funny thing about this whole thing, that we just don't know what it's leading us to. But I can see us running out of room. And people.
That's not too hard to imagine.
Yeah.
Hey, look at this.
Yay!
Hey.
How you doing, buddy?
Good. How's it going, everyone?
Great.
Doing
So, everyone at home, this is Chris Bartell. We just got done listening to Jim talk all about Chris. Chris was also a speaker this year. He's also going to be on our podcast here in a couple of weeks. We're going to be interviewing him. He's of Skinwalker Ranch fame, if you don't know who Chris is. But welcome, Chris. We are just sitting around talking about UFO Day and our experiences there. And
Oh, yeah, it was a great time. I loved it. I can't wait to go back. It'll be fun next year. Looking forward to it.
And Chris is an accomplished photographer.
Yes, he is.
Photography at Skinwalker.
Yeah. Yeah, that photography, it was never meant for the public consumption. It was something I did to kind of pass the time out there all those years. And it was just going to be a story to tell my kids one day. And then once a TV show came out and I was asked to be an advisor for the TV show, I went out there and I'm like, well, I have some images that, show a certain timeline that will never happen again. Basically, it's a different type of setup now. So I was starting to share those online and it kind of caught traction. And that's what I'm known for pretty much, as the Skinwalker photography. But now my focus is on our home state of Kansas. So I plan on dedicating the rest of my life photographing every inch of the state. So I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
yeah.
That is cool.
I try to go out every single weekend with my kids and just get lost in the back roads,
I know your booth. It was a really cool addition, to Kansas UFO Day for sure.
Yeah.
So,
It was fun.
yeah. Sorry, Jim. I think I cut you off there.
We had planned a couple of years ago to go out and see a lot of the things that I've told you folks about. And then I had this histoplasmosis that got me down, and we weren't ever able to make connections. But in talking, maybe September-ish, something like that, and it's a little cooler. I'll get him and you guys too, all out here, and we'll see some country. And
Oh, yeah. I think he would like that. I mean, people always ask me about Skinwalker Ranch, and I spent time on Blind Frog Ranch, and also Mount Wilson Ranch. And I spent like 20 years in the whole Southwest part of the States. And everybody asked me about, my time out there. And then just recently, my friend, his name's Carl the Crusher. He's got a YouTube channel, and I've done a lot of adventures with him. And we were talking today, as a matter of fact. And I was like, you know what? I've come to find out, because I've been doing this photography stuff here in Kansas now for a while, but really focused on it this December, of like going out every single day if I can and try to capture the things that we see every day, But I realized the whole state of Kansas is like Skinwalker. It's like Skinwalker Ranch, I mean, it really is. It can be as dark as you want, and it can be as light as you want, There's places out here, as you all know, it's very dark,
Yep.
And I'm really excited about dedicating the rest of my time focusing out here, exploring.
A lot of
I think
people don't
that's
realize
fantastic.
you don't have to go far to find some odd stuff going on. There are certainly, the famous spots. You got your Mount Shasta area, you got your Skinwalker Ranch area, you got various places across the country that are highlighted. But there is always some little nook and cranny somewhere. And I mean, you can't. Every single cemetery across the United States has a, woman in white legend.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Somewhere nearby, there's probably a Gravity Hill type of thing, or all of these little odd phenomenon type places. I feel are kind of everywhere. And it's for smaller towns and smaller, more rural type areas. It just kind of gets ignored and not as many people know about it or talk about it. But I feel it's kind of everywhere.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Definitely.
So while we got you on here, do you want to tell us a little bit about how you got into Kansas UFO Day?
It was my mom she was born in Roswell Air Force Base, and she's very spiritual. She grew up on the reservations in the Southwest. And so when I grew up as a young kid, she taught me how to meditate when I was very little, and just always taught me to be aware of nature and stuff. And I didn't really put it together until I got, I was in the Air Force and I was at the DOE and the Air 51 and stuff. But when I got to Skinwalker Ranch, it kind of all clicked. But what got me interested out here was she was like, hey, did you know there's a UFO thing out in Genesee? And I'm like, I had never heard of that. And so we went, I think it was 3 years ago we went. It was like the second time you guys had the event. And I was like, this is awesome. This is like real grit Americana stuff, which that's why I like to photograph, is the old real Kansas grit. And then I met Jim there, and I gave him one of my Skinwalker images and toured the museum, and I just fell in love with the whole area. And I'm like, okay, this is awesome. I can see this becoming a real big staple in not just the UFO community, but also for the state of Kansas. There's a lot of potential for people to come together and share stories and experiences and not feel judged, because, Kansas kind of is, and it's such a great positive experience, and I just was like, I got to go every year. And I don't care if I'm a speaker or a guest, or I just like to talk to people, and then I realized, hey, I have some experiences and I have some background and some of the stuff that people are interested to. So it worked out pretty well. And I'm really looking forward to next year as well. Awesome event.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We all agree. We love it.
Even if you don't go for like UFO related stuff, just the museum itself, that small town Americana stuff. I swear, every time I go in there, it's like I want to crack the back open on that old AT&T switchboard thing.
Yeah.
I just want to like peek inside. I want to see like the tubes and stuff inside.
So much cool stuff. So much cool stuff in that museum. I love it. It's cool. And my kids have fun too. They had a blast this year. It was so hot, but you know what? My kids had such a great time, and that's important too. The younger generation to be involved in this topic and talk about it and be open about it. It's great. It's really cool.
Yeah.
We're proponents for small town museums.
Yeah.
I always tell everyone, if you're on a trip and you have some free time, find your local little town museum and go see it, because I always think there's so much better stuff in those little hometown museums than there are in the biggest, fanciest ones. You
Yeah.
get a true understanding of what it was like to grow up in that area, how things went. And you're not just seeing some fantastic artifact that was dug out of the ground here. You're seeing what people in that town actually wore, their literal clothing. You're
Yeah.
seeing real photos. You're seeing who grew up there, who died there, you know, the comings and goings of everyday life. It's so interesting to kind of get into that microcosm
Yeah. That I
of
always tell
American
people.
life.
Yeah, I always tell people all the time, history matters, absolutely matters, and it's important for us to pay attention to that history and carry it on, you know. And that's something with Skinwalker Ranch, I believe, is the indigenous history that holds much of the story and the real truth behind that whole property is that history. And just like out here in Kansas, you know, this is all indigenous land out here, this whole country, basically, you know. And so you go to some of these places, and you can feel that there's energy here, there's energy there, there's something there, unseen, you know. And I felt that at Skinwalker, and I felt it out here too in Kansas. So it's important to remember that history, all of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And there's so much going on that I really hadn't paid attention to. You know, all of the intaglios and rock drawings
Mm-hmm.
around the state. I mean, I was aware of stuff like Anubis Caves and a few other things, but just the breadth of things that are there in Kansas that nobody knows about.
Right. Well, just look at Arc City with Estonia, you know, that huge,
Yeah.
huge settlement they discovered a couple of years ago. You know, they said there was 20,000 estimated indigenous folks that lived there.
That's a
And
good sized town.
that's huge. You know, that's just, can you imagine
Yeah.
that back then? Like, you're the Spaniards and you come across that, you're like, whoa. Super intimidating. And these people are the earth, you know, the indigenous ways are, I believe, are the best ways. You have a piece of humanity that was truly connected to the earth and the universe. And so their consciousness was on a different level. Their awareness and spirituality was on a different level that we have kind of drifted away from, you know, and it's important to go back to those ways. And that's something I focus on for many years now. And even at Skinwalker Ranch, my mom, who was kind of like my spirit guide, she would tell me to do things like walk around the mesa with my boots off and take my socks off and my grounding, you know, and that's something I carry on to this day. And then my kids are the same way, you know. A couple of years ago, I took them out to Utah and we did a whole grounding ceremony out there. And it's super important to, you know, people say touch grass, but I don't think we do it enough, you know.
Touch earth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
There's some
There's a lot of stuff that people just don't do anymore. I mean, we ignore so much that we used to know.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, science says this, and then they come around a few decades later and science says, well, you know, we told you not to do this, but actually that's really good for you.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I definitely agree.
Southeast is site of a premier village that would be associated with that Essamilla, and it's been understood that this would have been the village that Coronado reached when he came here in 1540, and they've left a tremendous record in the stone and in the sod. That only those who were willing to pay attention and to be aware knew about. It's now becoming more. We're becoming more conscious, I do believe, of these things. They were lost, but not quite. You know.
Yep.
And
I agree.
they're working to the surface.
Yep.
Which is great. That's a lot of what Kansas UFO Day is. You know, you've got so much in your museum that was,
Well,
you know, they're known locally, but now it's
it-
getting more well known.
One of the things with almost all tribal cultures was that they believed that they were the center of the earth. And so it was with the ancestors to the Wichita, which the Spanish called Quivira. They thought this place was the center of the earth, and we kind of think that this is the center of the UFO culture. I mean, Roswell got a lot way ahead of us, but in some ways we're kind of in the center. I like to think of it that way.
Almost dead center in the country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So you are the center.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there might be some undiscovered stuff out here.
I would agree with that.
I
Oh,
totally
I
agree.
absolutely. I do agree.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
The serpent, I call it intaglio, say intaglio, but the serpent intaglio is honestly only a part of a number of other depressions on that hill that have never been researched or identified. We don't know the entire story that's going on there. It's like Western Kansas, there's I'm forgetting the name now. There's a stone figure laid out on top of this high hill that overlooks the entire country. It's the stone man of Pinocchio. And the sad part about it was when the settlers came in, they robbed the stone to make buildings out of it. And so you have very little of it left. But there were definitely star markings, things that were going on up on top of the hill. And we lost that connection.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is very sad. And what is even worse is there are a lot of cases where some of these sites were intentionally erased.
Yeah.
And I like to think that nowadays we're a lot more likely to preserve something like that. But you know, some of these sites have been around hundreds and hundreds of years, sometimes thousands, and for them just to get wiped out just because it's in the way, just
you know, the Great Spirit Spring, Wakanda Springs, the Van Elder Reservoir. That reservoir was put in just, they were pushing to put that in because they knew if they didn't get it in, there were going to be laws to keep them from destroying probably the greatest spiritual location on the plain.
Yep.
And it had become healing waters. There was a reserve at the springs that the European culture had brought in, but they said when they filled in that spring, well, they bulldozed the hotel and pushed it into the spring, and it seemed to have no bottom. It just disappeared into the spring. And they say there's a spot out in the middle of the Glen Elder reservoir that rarely freezes over because of the spring water that comes in.
Oh, interesting.
Interesting.
that is pretty cool.
Yeah, I've been meaning to go out there.
And it's the same as Manitou Springs. It's the same spirit.
Mhm.
It was visited by all the Plains tribes. It was kind of maybe within the Pawnee territory, but it's being visited by all the Plains tribes. A lot of great stuff.
Mhm.
Goodness.
Getting off of UFO stuff. I'm getting, but you know, I used to write a lot of historical columns in Kansas, and there was a explorer that came down kind of on what became known as the Pawnee Trail out of Nebraska going to the southwest. And this was in the 1830s. And he crossed, well, he described before he got there, north of Wakanda Springs were geysers of water that just shot up out of the ground.
Interesting.
And then when southwest of Wakanda, he crossed the Saline River about where Wilson Lake is today. And this river was a natural grounds of white grizzly bears. Can you imagine the country that they saw? And one man was actually mauled and died from a white grizzly on that trip. So,
That's wild.
That's amazing.
unbelievable natural prairie was just something we hardly can imagine.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So-
I'm without words.
Yeah, that's really wild.
That is pretty cool.
A lot. Just European-based culture has done a lot to try its best to destroy nature.
Yeah.
And what is it? To instead of living with it.
hmm
And we are so concerned about, and we should be, about the Amazon forests and how we're losing more and more of them all of the time. But I had a great uncle who was just a child when they moved from New York to Ontario, Canada, and they went into the deep, dark forests. And he said they had to cut the trees out to make a trail through the forest. If you got off that trail, you'd lost. And today you go up there and it's all corn. There is no forest.
Oh, wow.
That's sad. That is so sad.
Yeah.
Kinda. Well, I
We
know, Jim.
tamed
Yeah, we did.
We tamed it.
Mhm.
I don't.
To the detriment of everyone.
Yeah. Anyway, you know what
I know-
I say? I could talk to you till sun comes up, but it's just now going down. So
Mhm.
I was going to say, yeah, we are getting kind of to the point where we're going to start winding down. What we normally do about this time is we want you to plug yourself, tell us where people can come find you if they want to meet you or if they want to see the Geneseo Museum. Where can they do that at?
well, we have a Facebook page, Geneseo City Museum. We have a website, but it's really not that good. The best place is the Facebook page to find out what we've been doing about the museum. But we're open the second Saturday. Little town, we just meet up and here for time. But, actually, here during the summer, we're part of that Sunflower Summer program, so that families with kids, eligible Kansas kids can come to the museum and experience everything we got, no cost. We usually don't charge anyway. It's kind of a donation sort of thing. People will see the value and we provide them. They can come if they would give me a day or two notice, I can buy or someone from our board will be able to open up the museum for them any day of the week. So we need to have more. That's call me. They tell you not to phone. So, give me a call at 785 531 2058.
We will make
And-
sure that we
and-
we'll
Well, I
make
was
sure
gonna
that we
say,
get
and
that
if they-
number out there for you. So because you are a little hard to hear again, so we want to make sure that everyone is able to get that information. So we'll make sure we get it up on your podcast episode too on Facebook.
Yeah. We'll also post all the ways to get a hold of the museum and where it's at all up on our Facebook page also.
For
Yeah.
sure.
The board's out here standing over the Roswell compass 24/7. So you're in a hurry and you can't stop for the museum. You can at least see. It'd be something for you to see.
Get a
We
photo
highly
of the
encourage-
kids.
Appreciate you guys having me on and give a little background on this place. It's a really special place.
We're super excited to talk about it because it's such a cool place, and you know, anytime we tell anyone that we're going to Geneseo, they're like, "Where's that at?" You know, they hadn't heard of it. It's not a big place, but there's so much going on there. There's so much to go see. Beautiful country on top of everything else. You know, it's in a perfect area to really go explore too. So we'd highly encourage everyone to head out that way. It's Geneseo, Kansas. It's about I can't remember how far north it is of Hutch, but
Right
It's
in
about
the
50 minutes.
yeah,
center, we're right in the center between Great Bend to the southwest, Select to the northeast, and Hutchinson to the southeast, and we're about 45 miles any direction.
nice, good deal. Well, again, Jim, thank you so much for being here. I know what we have coming up at the end. We always end out the show with the notebook game with Jess. So if you want to hang around for a little bit, we'll play that real quick. Jess, do you want to talk about that and get us started?
Yeah, so if you are new to the channel, we like to play a game called the Notebook Game, which was come up by Mr. Enzo there. Unfortunately, I go old school, and when I research, it goes into handwritten notebooks. So every time we have a show, I pull 5 of them, and everyone in the chats can pick a notebook 1 through 5 and a page number 1 through 100, and I will read whatever the heck is on that page. It could be anything you can imagine. It'll get crazy. But everybody in the chat, start picking out your numbers, book 1 through 5, page 1 through 100, and I will read whatever is on those. So, I don't know,
And
Jim, would you
Yeah.
like to pick the first one since you're the guest?
Hey, how about 4 and 36?
All right.
Notebook 4, page 36.
That easy.
Excellent. Yeah. It's always fun. You never know what's going to pop up.
You don't. What's weird though is a lot of times when we're having a show and we do the notebook game, something comes up that is directly related to what we've been talking about.
Yeah, it's
Synchronicities.
So the
Synchronicities.
synchronicities are sometimes pretty wild.
They are.
all right. So Jim's pick is on Goblin's Gate. It's in Olympic National Park in Washington. The gorge is on the Elwha River and was named Goblin's Gate by the early explorer Charles A. Barnes while exploring the area and river. And in 1889, Barnes reported seeing strange faces in the rocks at the edge of the water. The river in the gorge runs in powerful currents, moving as the stream is forced through a narrow opening. It's also dimly lit, giving the strange rocks with faces a creepy, otherworldly look and feel. He insisted that the faces seemed to beckon weary travelers over to the edge and down into the Rika Canyon. He wrote in his journal that the rocks seemed to have tortured expressions and a gloomy and mysterious character, and that the whole stretch resembled the throat of a monster. It's reported that there are strange feelings there, strange sounds and vibrations. Many believe the area to be cursed due to the loss of 2 attempted bridges at the gate. The first bridge that was built there was washed away during a flash flood, and the second inexplicably fell apart quite quickly after it was built. It fell into the waters below and washed away. They've attempted no other bridge since.
Interesting.
That's
Huh.
interesting.
No, why would you do that?
That's awesome.
That's fun.
All right, what do we got next?
We got Ginger with Notebook 5, page 42, please. Yeah, you never know what's going to pop up on these.
Oh,
You also notice Jess said that she just pulled 5. There are more than just the 5.
oh yeah.
You just grab the
There's
first
more like
5 and the
about
5.
500.
I don't know
Yeah.
if there's 500. Good Lord. I'd have to like write 24/7.
Oh, that's true. But you're getting
This
there.
Good.
I believe this is part of the forbidden history stuff that we were working on for the other show. I'm just going to read what's on the page. An Egyptian mortuary statuette was found in the early 1900s in Libertyville, Illinois, about 20 miles north of Chicago. It was discovered by a young man, a son of the farmer who liked to go around arrowhead hunting on the banks of the Des Plaines River. He also would... I can't read my own writing. He would also scour the well-known old Indian mounds that surrounded Diamond Lake and supposedly dug this out of one of them. He actually had more, but no photos of those exist. Also on here is listed the hieroglyphs of the Micmacs. Written languages are almost non-existent in the Native American cultures to the extent that only a single written language is known to have existed in North America and Canada. That single language belongs to the Micmacs, a culture that lived on the Atlantic coast. It happens to match up uncannily to original Egyptian hieroglyphs. And also listed on this one is the Tulsa Rock. This was found in June 2010. We've actually discussed this one on this show before.
Yeah.
It was made of sandstone. It was a 500-pound rock that was pulled out of the Arkansas River near Tulsa, Oklahoma, with a carving of an ancient Egyptian bull. Discovered by Nick Johnson and his brother while looking for arrowheads and fossils along the river. It matches an Egyptian Apis bull. The Apis bull is an Egyptian deity symbolizing the strength of the pharaoh and protector of the dead. Some believe it could be a Mithras bull of Irish Celtic lore. Nearby at Turkey Mountain is an Ogham inscription that says Gwyn, who was a famous Irish explorer. The Celts were inspired by ancient Egyptian religion.
Wow.
Yeah. And then
Pretty
it goes on and
fascinating
on and on and on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good show over
That
on
was a good show.
Fringe. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do we got next?
Next one is book 3, page 69, please. We need to come up with the music. Do, do, do.
369, the secrets of the universe. Nikola Tesla.
Didn't even think of that. Yeah.
So this is part of the Glitch in the Matrix stories that we had been collecting. I don't know if this one ever got told on a show. This one's called A Cut Disappeared on My Baby's Hand. The weirdest thing happened earlier. One of my twin boys, who were 20 months old, came running to me crying, and I saw his hand was covered in blood. I quickly realized he had cut himself in between his pointer and middle finger. It was fairly deep looking, and I called my husband in to help with the cleanup as I get queasy around blood. Due to the size and depth of the cut, I even asked my husband if they should put a stitch in that area if he were to need one. My husband took our son to the bathroom to run water on his hand and clean him up to see what we were dealing with. To both of our surprises, after he washed his hand off and went to assess the cut that we had both clearly just seen, which bled so much it was all over my son's pajamas, the cut was mysteriously all gone. We checked all his other fingers for like 5 minutes straight, and not even as much as a paper cut was to be found. We don't know what to make of this. There was clearly a deep cut, and his skin between his fingers was visibly separated, but after he took his hand out from under the water, it was just gone.
Weird.
That's weird.
Yeah. From the glitch
That was
in
a
the
good
Matrix
one,
when
though.
we did. Yeah.
Mm.
Do we
He
have
did
any others?
bulleye you on the 369. So yeah, you got it. That's all of them that we have in chat. Christy, you
right.
want to pick one?
Oh, do I want to pick one?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
you're good.
Book 3 and paragraph 6.
Page 6?
Page 6, sorry.
Okay.
I guarantee you there's more than 100 paragraphs.
I'm sure.
Yeah. Oh, this is going to be a fun, creepy one.
Oh, nice.
So this is one of the, I think it was a couple years ago. I think it was in our first season. We did an entire show on haunted artifacts.
Yeah.
And I collected so many stories on haunted Elmo dolls.
Oh my god.
And this is one of those. Yeah. This
Elmo's
happened.
creepy anyway.
Yeah.
He is. So throw some paranormal stuff in there and it gets real fun. So this happened in 2008 in Florida. A family gave their 2-year-old son, James, an Elmo Knows Your Name electronic plush toy. It could repeat phrases and the name of its owner. The toy was the boy's favorite and soon needed fresh batteries. The boy's mother, Melissa Bowman, changed the batteries and gave it back to James. About an hour later, Melissa realized something was amiss when she realized that the toy was saying, "Kill James," when the boy squeezed its belly. James started repeating that phrase. Concerned, Melissa changed out the batteries again, only this time the Elmo toy started repeatedly saying, "Kill James," over and over and over, without the stomach even being pressed. She removed the batteries and hid the toy away from James. However, the child continued to find it, and even scaled furniture to reach the toy when placed in high places. The toy company gave the family a free voucher for another Elmo after they complained. And it goes on like... there's a listing here of like haunted Elmo stories from across the world.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Good God.
Emily Lovely. This was about 6 years ago. My Elmo began speaking on its own. Upon inspection, there were no batteries. There was another story I found with a cursed Elmo doll that... I think I remember I told this one where the Elmo doll, they threw it in the closet because it kept speaking, and the girl got up in the morning and went to school, and the Elmo doll was out in the tree, and she watched its head turn while it followed her.
Yep. I remember that.
And when she got home, it was still in the tree, and it watched her go back, and then it was back in the closet again, and she had a nightmare about it coming out of the closet and eating her.
Burn it with fire. It sounds to me like Elmo is channeling Chucky.
Yeah. And I think my favorite one was the guy who decided to write about all the haunted Elmos. And there's apparently a haunted Elmo book where you push the buttons and it plays the noises according to, which page you're on. Wow. And it's supposed to be the worst one. And he managed to get one on eBay. It cost him a couple $100 to get a hold of it. And he decided to mess with it a little bit to see what it was all about. And then he didn't sleep for the next 2 nights because it kept him up doing all the weird crap. Yeah.
Yikes.
I thought that one was pretty hilarious. Dude,
That
haunted himself.
is crazy. Goodness.
All right. Well, are we all done?
We are, and we're at
think so.
8:59, so we are right on time.
Cool. Well, I'll lead us out. Chris and Jim, don't leave out yet when we turn off. Hang around backstage for a minute.
Okay.
I'm going to get everybody out of here. Everybody, thank you so much for hanging out with us in the chats and listening in. We appreciate you so much. If you haven't yet, take that second to like, share, follow, subscribe, ring bells, and all that fun jazz. Thank you so much for Jim Gray for coming on and being our guest today. And thank you for Chris for popping into towards the end here.
Yeah.
Catch us for an all-new show in 2 weeks, Wednesday night at 7 p.m. I believe it's July 29th. And we will have Chris on as our special guest. We're going to talk about his life in the Air Force and all of his experiences coming up into the ranch, and then all of his photography. It's going to be so much fun. We're going to get to know him just a little bit better, so don't miss that. And also, don't forget, coming up August 8th in Caney, Kansas, is the Bordertown Paracon. We've talked all about that, a whole day of free stuff. You're going to get to see presentations and panels and check out vendors and eat some great food and some fantastic raffles, I might add, that are like completely filling my side room right now. It's completely full. So yeah, check that out. And go check out Kansas UFO Day. If you go to the Geneseo page on Facebook and up online, you can see all about past ones, and you'll be able to watch new ones come up too. Oh, and they got the Paracon page right up there.
Yeah, and if you want to meet any of us or all of us, we will. Everyone that you see here tonight will be at the Paracon. So come hang out. Come tell us hi.
Yeah.
I'll be there.
Tell us your stories.
Yeah, everybody have a fantastic night. Keep it weird, keep it strange, and remember, it's all connected. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.